this is how I work with families. They send me videos of what they're doing with their kids, how they're interacting. And I observe two things. I observe what the parents are saying in the environment, and I observe how is the child responding. And if I see any of those facial expressions or body language or literal events where I see the parent taking over the situation, prompting through it, getting the outcome that they want because they're showing off for me on videos or whatever, it doesn't matter even if they're showing off. This is happening. And it's happening so often that so many of these videos I get, literally, if I counted 100 sentences out of the 6 to 10 videos parents send me, and I could count 100 sentences that they said to the child, 98 of them would be questions. It's that many that's happening. That much time that parents are using questions and prompts instead of spoken language that children need. Okay, so here's how it looks. Nearly every sentence, this is unconscious prompting that's happening anyway. You're in the habit, you're stuck. I'm calling you out so that you can change. If nearly every sentence you say is a question or demand, then you need to be saying different things. And number 2 here, for some activities, you assume that the child will be unable or unwilling to respond without your prompt. But other things, you taught them one time and they learned immediately. But there are still some things that you cannot keep your hands off your child. And you cannot stop chasing them because you have not taught them how to be safe. You haven't taught them how to do it better. They're stuck in your prompt dependence. That's some activities, right? Some activities your child they will never get done unless you manhandle your child. And that's a problem. That's a problem. This third one here is that you constantly say no, don't, or stop more often than you model the correct behavior or speech. So now we're hearing questions and we're hearing negatives, no, don'ts, and stops. And that means, again, because you haven't trained your child ahead. And number 4 here is you continue to prompting even through your child's cries, escapes, tantrums, and resistance. You ignore their behavior and you continue to make them do things. If they're pulling away from you, if they're fighting with you, they might not even be crying, but they're literally not looking at you. Okay? And then here's the other one. If you're unconscious prompting, later on, when you lay your head on the pillow after you've yelled at your child or prompted them to do whatever and you didn't get the response you wanted, you feel guilty for yelling or fighting with your child. Okay? So if you feel these things, that means that you're farther into this experience than you believe. Okay? So now what I want to do is I want to give you some tools. Okay? Just like always, I show you why things are happening. And I don't do it, like I said, to make you feel guilty or bad or negative about your experience. You did the best you could. And those prompting things work. I know that's why people pick them up, because they work. It was all what they taught us in therapy school, right? All of those things on that list are what therapists do with kids. Why? Because they only have a very limited time with the child. Limited time. And those who have all day and they're doing those things like the ABA people who have 6 hours a day with your child and they're all day long prompting. And then they go home and the ABA people say at home, you've got to do it too. So now you're prompting too at home. When does your kid get a break? And how would you feel about that, right? It's time for change. You need to change your child's experience if you want to get out of prompt dependence and prompt avoidance. Okay. So now I'm going to show you how to do that. Here's those signs again of that unconscious prompting. But here's what we need to do. We need to get conscious about this. You need to think about what is happening here. What are we doing? What are we doing? So let's see. Hang on a second. Let's get back to this. So the first thing you have to do is to replace questions and prompts with slow speech models in full sentences that are fun and familiar and age appropriate. Okay? So that's the first thing you have to do. You can't keep doing those prompts. I know they work, but you gotta shift. You have to shift. And then number 2 is you explore toys, books, and even everyday activities from your child's perspective with patience and trust. Okay? So it's the child's perspective that's been missing in this whole prompting situation. And that's what will get you back. I promise you, that's what will get you back. And number 3 is that you discuss your child's expressed feelings. Their expressed feelings. Remember, we told you how they express them through those facial expressions, their behavior. They clearly show you how they are feeling frustration, fear, and disappointment in emotionally intelligent conversations that you initiate and have with this child.